It's difficult these days to get, as they say, up close and personal with prominent political figures. They seem to be so much more guarded. Guarded in what they're willing to say, and guarded in the sense of so much more security.
I look forward to working with both
when President Bush came to Collinsville early this year, it was one of those modern-style appearances. Fly in, speak, fly out. There was an audience, and it was all very carefully scheduled and staged for television, which is where most of us were going to see it. But it got me to thinking of earlier presidential visits to St. Louis that I had seen, not on television, but in home movies, made by a Granite City man by the name of Harry Fechte, who not only had a camera, but a sense of history.
When I heard that President Truman was coming to St. Louis, I thought about coming to take movies of him for the groundbreaking for the arch. And I always wanted to be a newsreel cameraman at that time. They were always role models for me, as I always looked up to those fellas as being something special, that they were able to capture on news on film. You could actually see the way it happened.
Harry Truman's appearance on the St. Louis riverfront to dedicate the national park site was intended to give a boost to plans to build the arch, which in 1950 was not yet a done deal.
This is indeed a great occasion. I am happy to participate in the dedication of this historic site to the memory of Thomas Jefferson and the early pioneers and settlers of our westward expansion.
Harry Fechte did not record sound film. That clip was our attempt to combine his 8mm home movies with a recording of Truman's speech that day.
Look to the United States of America.
Chills went up my spine. I thought he was the greatest person alive. And I thought it was very thrilling to be able to film President Truman the way I did.
President Truman was in town for another reason, the reunion of his World War I Army unit. And so there was a big military parade downtown that day. And Truman's riverfront speech turned quickly from local affairs to the main topic, the Soviet Union's threat to world peace and America's resolve to stand up to it.
Countries like the United States, which have responsibilities for maintaining peace and security outside the North Atlantic Treaty Area, will, of course, continue to maintain whatever defense forces are needed to meet those responsibilities.
The military test would come much sooner than anyone expected. Just 2 weeks later, North Korea invaded South Korea, and the United States was not prepared. Even in these tense times of war and Cold War, an American president, the leader of the free world, could spend a sunny day in June in St. Louis with a young man with no passes or credentials following him around with a camera, getting as close as he wanted to get.
There were crowds, but I wasn't considered one of the crowd. They knew I was an amateur young fella taking movies. I was more or less had the run of the street there to get the movies that I wanted.
This was not Harry Fechte's last up-close look at a president or president-to-be. 10 years after Truman's visit, he was on the scene again.
It was Senator Kennedy at that time. It was before the election, and he came through Granite City for a campaign speech. And it was in the paper, and I thought, oh, that would be something good to put on film.
By now, Harry Fechte was a more accomplished photographer with a 16mm camera and still had the ability to talk himself out of the crowd and onto the platform to get these amazing pictures.
When Senator Kennedy drove up in his motorcade, he got out of his open convertible and came up the steps, and he was so close to me that we were just eye-to-eye contact. And when he turned around after his speech and came back, then that's when it really hit me. And then that's when I clammed up so much that I couldn't even say hi to him or anything. All I could do is hear the motor of the camera to take pictures of him passing me by.
It is strange to watch John Kennedy so alive and so accessible, and eerie to see him drive off in a convertible, and to be reminded that in 3 years his life would end, and to a great extent so would the accessibility of presidents. And gone were most of the opportunities to see them as real people, right there in front of us.